Hello everyone, welcome to Gardening TLC and welcome to my garden. My name is Michelle, I live in Northern Illinois and I'm in Zone 5. Today, you are at Garden Gab. Garden Gab is where we gab about the garden and the garden. So hopefully you'll join me today on a little question and answer session that I've put together about the garden. Some of the questions are from previous videos. Some of the questions are just questions I see over and over again and I thought I would answer them. And some of them are announcements that I want to make about things that are coming up. All right, so come on you guys, let's go gab in the garden. So welcome to July. I love July because that's really where the garden starts to come into its own. You know, you spent all spring digging, planting, fertilizing, weeding, but now it's July and things are starting to bloom and starting to wake up. And in my garden, I really have a summer garden where a lot of things open up in the summer and they really come into their own. I think July kind of has its own rhythm. Not only is it a little bit hotter out and we have to do a little bit more watering, but the gardens really start to come alive. And I would have to say July is one of my favorite times in the garden because I feel like I can actually slow down, take a breath, and enjoy my garden. I hope that you're taking some time to enjoy your garden too and you're not just working all the time. I hope that you are able to get in your garden, do the things that you need to do, and then just enjoy the fruits of your labor. We will be answering questions from some of the previous videos, and there's quite a few of them, so I can't answer them all. I am going to answer some general questions, though, that I kept seeing over and over and over again. And we've been doing Garden Gab now for a little while. Normally, we do viewer submission pictures with Garden Gab. I made the decision after I didn't get Garden Gab up in the back half of April, May, or June, because life just got too busy, that I was going to not do the viewer submission pictures during Garden Gab while I'm trying to answer questions, because the production time on that was just becoming unmanageable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Garden Gab like we're doing right now in the garden, gabbing, chatting, answering questions, just a slower time to kind of just go, all right. But then I'm also going to be doing a second Garden Gab later in the month where I will be sharing viewer submission pictures because it's one of my favorite things that I do is get to take a look at all of your gardens. So we're going to start right off with, if you want in on that, we will be doing that later in the month. It'll be on a Saturday. It'll either be the 3rd or the 4th week in July. It's all going to depend on how fast the pictures come in. But if you want to have us look at something in your garden, which I think is so inspiring to see what other people are doing, well, take a picture of one thing in your garden that you love. Turn your camera long ways like this. Don't take it up and down. If you take it straight up and down like that, I can't use the pictures because they won't fit on the YouTube format, which is the long ways. So take a picture, send it to this email right here. I want to know who you are, where you live, what we're looking at, and what zone it is. Send me that information, and we're going to share that with Garden Gab. There have been plenty of pictures that have totally inspired me to steal some of your ideas, totally inspired me to think about adding those things to my garden. But all in all, I love to see what other people are doing in their garden. It's so awesome, and you guys always deliver. So send those pictures in. One of the other things I want you to remember is as we hit this stretch of summer that we're going into, your gardens don't have to be perfect. Mine is not perfect. It's by far not even close to perfect. It will never be perfect. I am always going to be looking at my garden through a lens of how can I make it better? How can I make it more enjoyable? Or, oh my gosh, there's a new plant on the market. I got to find a place to put that in my garden. Aren't we always doing that? So remember, your garden's never going to be perfect. But don't forget to take some time to enjoy your garden. I do want to just read this little comment that came from Jennifer Green 8891. It came in probably a week ago. Hi, Michelle. I have a very special request, please. Okay, so you are the busiest person I've ever seen. Could you please make a video of you just sitting in a shaded area in or facing your favorite place and just talk about stuff? Well, that's kind of what Garden Gab is. I don't know that I could just babble on and on and on. Well, I probably could, but I want to be specific about why we're having a video and why you're watching it. So today we're going to answer questions. All right. I am sure many other garden friends here would enjoy it as well. You have to take time to sit in your garden and enjoy it without pulling a weed or fixing something. We love you, lady, and appreciate all your knowledge, passion, and ability to teach. Thank you so much. And this comes from Jen. She lives on the Texas Gulf Coast, Zone 9B. And thank you, Jennifer, for the reminder. Sometimes I do go. But you know what? I do take time to sit and relax. Maybe not as much as I should, but I do take time to enjoy my garden. I just don't film that very often because, I don't know, I think it might be boring for you. But anyways, let's answer some questions that you guys submitted over the last, I guess, 75 days. It was a lot of days where I just didn't have a garden gap. Life happens. All right, let's answer some questions. As you can see, I did get my front porch done. I didn't film it. I spent an hour after work one day just knocking it out. It was becoming a little bit of a catch-all for all the projects that I was doing. Everything was just landing on this porch. And yeah, it was becoming like this little junk area. So it was like, all right, I got to clean this up. So I just knocked it out. All right, let's answer our first question. Our first question, I've seen this one probably 5 or 6 times, and it is, what is the difference between part sun and part shade? And that really has to do with what time is the sun actually hitting your plant. So part shade are plants that are growing in 4 to 6 hours of sun. Full shade is 2 to 4 hours. So we're going to talk about that 4 to 6 hours. Now, part shade typically is like dappled shade that's coming through trees, or something is creating the shade, but it's still getting 4 to 6 hours. Typically, when it says part shade, that means morning sun, because morning sun is not as intense as hot afternoon sun. It's gentle, it's mild, it's not all heated up like it is, in the middle of the afternoon. And that's what makes the difference between part sun and part shade. So part sun is the same thing. It's 4 to 6 hours, but that sun is coming in the hot afternoon, and the plants are going to be able to handle it a little bit better because they're more resilient. Hand in hand with that question, I get asked the question, what's the best plant to plant in that kind of situation, that hot afternoon sun that only gets like 4 to 6 hours? I think the best plant that I've ever planted in those circumstances has been the Surefire begonias from Proven Winners. They are awesome. They will grow in sun or shade. They're left alone by bugs. They really don't have disease problems. And yes, for me, it's an annual, but they are so worth planting every year. I would say the second one that I've had great luck with under those circumstances has been Rebecca. And the 2 varieties that I've had the best luck with have been the Viet's Little Susies and the American Gold Rush. The biggest difference between the two, the American Gold Rush was actually bred to resist black spot, and it just has this hardiness about it that's awesome. I have both of them in my garden, and I love both of them, and I've grown them both under that part sun condition. So there you go. There's the answer to that question for you guys. I recently did a couple videos on cutting perennials back, especially those spring perennials and shrubs that are done or need to be rejuvenated. And so this question kept coming up over and over and over again. Can I cut when the temperature is in the 90s? Is there a time of year when I should stop and not cut? Now, you'll notice that I wasn't cutting any evergreens. So evergreens really have a window of when you want to cut them. And you want to make sure that you're doing that when the temperatures are below 85, or you can actually trim them and have browning going on the leaves or the needles. So I don't really prune any evergreens when that heat starts to rev up. I try to do that either right after the new growth has started, or I'll do it when the temperatures cool back down in the fall, but with plenty of time for them to harden off before we go into winter. Now, what I was talking about in these videos were those spring blooming perennials that either need to be cut back because we want them to rebloom, cut back because we want to control the size or the shape, or cut back because the new foliage that will be growing will look better and can carry the plant through the rest of the season. I also talked about some shrubs in those videos, and these were spring blooming shrubs that if you don't prune them after they're done flowering, then guess what? You're going to cut the flowers off of them if you try to prune them later in the year. So back to the original question of, can I do it when it's 95 degrees? Well, that's kind of a yes and no question. It really depends upon where, again, that plant is. If it's in hot, blazing 8 hours of sun, I might wait till those temperatures drop back down under 90 degrees, because some of the things that you risk when you prune when it's really super hot is dehydration. You can have that plant dehydrated. So no matter what you're cutting back, you got to keep it watered. 2, you opened it up, so you could have sunburn on your plant. That is a risk, where you are scorching that newly exposed cut area in the ground. You can also have delayed recovery. So like I planted some Nepeta and some Salvia in the back garden. I cut them both back. It was hot when I did it, but they are, they're protected for part of the day back there. And they are having a little bit of delay on their recovery, but they'll recover. The other thing is you are stressing the plant out by doing that. Now, yes, you're taking off that dead foliage so that it can put energy towards new foliage, but the initial cuts do stress the plant out. So the long and short of it is you take a risk cutting when it's above 90 degrees. So just wait until it drops. It doesn't stay 90 forever. One of my favorite ways to get an area ready for planting the next year is by laying heavy layers of cardboard, topping it with compost, putting some mulch on top, and then just waiting. So every time I do that, I get questions about, are mulch and compost the same, and which compost should I use? So no, mulch and compost are not the same. Mulch is typically a byproduct from trees or pallets, one or the other. We're not talking about like synthetic ones like rubber or cocoa chips or anything like that. Typically, mulch is made from the outer corings and branches and bark of trees that they grind down and then they dye it. So typically you can see mulch that is red, black, gold, dark walnut, a lighter brown. So there's different colors out there that they do. Now, by dyeing the product, they are adding a dye color to that product and making it whatever color you choose. Now, for me, mulch, I'll give you my 2 cents and you can take it or leave it. All right, for me, mulch is not supposed to be the star of the show. It's not supposed to go, look at me, look at me. So I am like just anti-red, anti-gold, any of those weird colors. I just don't like them. Now there's also cedar mulch, there's cypress mulch. Cedar mulch can be really expensive, but it's supposed to help deter bugs away from your house. Cypress mulch, pretty much you find that in bags, usually like at the gas stations, the box stores, and it's that uncolored mulch. Now, mulch is also made out of pallets, and they take pallets and they grind them down and they color them. And typically mulch is nutrient neutral. There is no like special anything about mulch other than it is going to help stabilize soil temperature. It will help suppress weeds. It is nice looking when you put it down, and it helps hold moisture in the soil. But over time, that dye will break down, it will fade, you will lose your mulch, it will break down and create great things for your soil, but that's mulch. Now, compost, on the other hand, is garden waste or mushroom compost or leaves or whatever it's made with. It's broken down so that it's turned into this rich nitrogen-based product that you put on your soil to help aerate it, to enrich the soil, to add microorganisms. And what kind should you use? I don't know, whatever kind you like. There's yard waste, there's animal waste, there's leaf compost, there's yard waste compost, there's all kinds out there. I have no idea which one you will like because everybody has their own personal preferences. I don't have a personal preference. I am in the school of use what works, use what's available, but use something. That's my 2 cents on mulch and compost. I just like this view right here. It's very comfortable to sit here. It's in the shade. I love my big pot. It's coming along really, really good. All right, I would say that one of the top questions that I get asked a lot is, how do I keep deer and rabbit from eating my garden? And there is no one answer fits all to this question, because deer are adaptable and they can really damage your garden. And what they eat here might not be what they eat where you live. They say echinacea or coneflowers are deer resistant, but I've gotten plenty of comments from people out there that live someplace else saying they ate my coneflowers all the way to the ground. And you know what? They adapt. They eat different things. So there is no good answer. But I do know, if you're going to use any kind of a repellent for deer, your best bet is to use something that's blood-based and that's got blood in the recipe, because that is probably one of the better deterrents. The other thing I do know, and I don't have a lot of deer, but I do know this just from talking to reps, watching other people that actually go through this problem, is you have to kind of switch up what you're doing and kind of go back and forth between two different products so that they don't build up an immunity to what it is that you're using. In one video where I talked about deer repellents and like homemade stuff and what works and what doesn't, I don't know, because so many different people weighed in. And again, I think it really is about the deer. The other thing that I think plays into a big factor with the deer is the path that they travel through your yard. What is made available on that natural path that they're traveling? I don't think that they come and they make a beeline for a hydrangea. Well, maybe they do, but I think it's kind of like what's available on the way there to wherever they're going. And I think that can play a part in what they're eating. Now, as far as rabbits go, you know, I don't have a good answer with rabbits either because I have a rabbit problem. And I watched a video on Gardenary, and she's been around for a long time. Nicole John C. Burke is the person who actually produces the Gardenary videos, and she put a video out about rabbits, and I will link it down below. It's right here. But it really was a really good video about how to naturally deter rabbits from your yard using natural means and not harming the bunnies, because they are kind of cute, aren't they? Now, one of you suggested that I plant asters someplace in my yard where they'll go eat the asters and leave my garden alone. And I will attest that that is true, because I do have asters in my yard. I leave them in my yard because they do eat them, and they leave the things around the asters alone. So I do know that that actually works. Outside of repellents, you know, I don't know. I haven't tried a whole bunch of them yet, but I am going to try the one that was suggested by Nicole, which is coyote urine. Did you guys know that I have a newsletter? It was one of the things last year that I asked you guys if you wanted, and I said that I would probably produce it in January. Well, I did do that. I did get that done, but I never made a formal announcement like, hey, you guys, you can get the newsletter now. So if you want the newsletter, here's the link down below. You click the button, I'd like to get the newsletter, or sign up for the newsletter, or says something like that. You put your information in, and then automatically we'll be sending you the newsletter every month. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. Our next question will be about the auger that you've seen me attach to my DeWalt drill, and I've used it periodically while I've been planting. And this is a twist and shout auger that I was given by Proven Winners. My sales rep gave it to me to try out, and I have mixed feelings about this auger. When it works, it's awesome. But for me, in my heavy clay, when it's wet, it doesn't like to go through the dirt when it's wet. It just kind of spins around, and it won't punch through that heavy clay when it's wet. But when it's dry, I love it. So kind of mixed results on that. But it is from Proven Winners. I think they're sold out for the year. But if you're interested in getting one, I had to use a 20-volt DeWalt drill to be able to make the auger work. It is a 5-inch auger, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, yeah, then you get the shovel out. This is why I love July in the garden. There are so many places in my garden that are coming alive, looking fantastic, and I absolutely love it. Now, this next question that I'm going to answer actually is a question that I get asked all the time. When I do a design or people are new and they watch old designs, I get emails or I get questions and comments about, can you do a design for me? The answer is no. I can't do design for you guys on YouTube. The purpose of my channel is to inspire, take you through a gardening journey, and hopefully teach you some things as well. There are almost 40,000 of you now, and there's no way I can go down the rabbit trail of doing design. The other thing is, when I did design as a professional designer, that was never free. I charged to do that. So I just can't go there, you guys. And so for those of you that are new, I'm flattered that you ask, but I cannot do that. The other thing is I get asked, what's the software program that you use? And it is a professional software program. It's called Pro Landscapes. I purchased it maybe 15 years ago. I've probably bought a couple updates over the years. And I share the designs with you because I hope that those visuals, which I'm a visual person, will help you. This software is not like for the homeowner. I mean, I think it's like $1,500 for this software. So I'm sorry that I can't find one that's compatible to a homeowner. I've been looking for years, and I've yet to find one that I would yoke my name to. But as far as design goes, I hope I can help you with the designs that I do. It gives you ideas, you can pull from them, inspiration, but that's as far as it goes. Every June, I go to the Clem Garden Fair, which is at the Clem Arboretum right here in Rockford, Illinois, where I live. And what was totally awesome this year was not only did we have perfect weather, so many of you came to see me, and I wanted to extend a personal thank you to every one of you that came to see me. We were so busy, I never really had an opportunity to stop and have conversation or any meaningful conversation with any of you, but I can't tell you how much that meant to me that you guys were there, that you came to see me at my booth, that you purchased something for your garden and took it home and put it in the ground and it was awesome and you loved it. Thank you so much for coming. It was an awesome weekend and I left there so full. So thank you. The other thing that happened at this garden fair is, I hope you're watching this. There was a lady there that said, you need to come and tour my garden. So what did I do? I flipped over our price page and I wrote all of her information on the back, her email, her phone number, and I had it on there. And then, you know, at the end of a show, when you pack everything up, you just kind of pack everything up and you want to be done as quickly as you can. Well, at least that's what we do. You know, it takes 6 hours to set it up and 30 minutes to take it down. I totally lost all of your information. So if you're watching this, please reach out to my email so we can set up a garden tour. And speaking of garden tours, I am looking for people that would like me to come and tour their garden. I am looking for anybody that is within 4 hours of where I live, which is Rockford, Illinois. So you can Google that and find out if you're within the 4 hours. Typically, that means you're in Iowa. You could be in the lower part of Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin. That is kind of the area of where I'm going to be going. So within 4 hours, I would love to tour your garden. Reach out right here, send your information to this email with a few pictures of your garden so that I can kind of assess your garden a little bit. I also kind of need to know when is the best time of day to view your gardens, because some gardens look better at different times of the day. Anyways, I would love to set those up, because for me, doing those garden tours, it's really inspiring, and I think all of you guys like it too. And who doesn't want to show off their hard work in their garden? So reach out, you guys. I would love to do a tour. The next question is, how do I control my weeds? Well, obviously I didn't do a great job of it this year. They totally got away from me in any bed that I didn't have the opportunity to get into, to where I had weeds that were like up to here. It was insane. And I really just had to dig down. I spent 3 days pulling weeds to get caught up. I also use pre-emergent, and I use a product right here called Snapshot. I really like pre-emergent. It does make my life easier. I know that some people are against it, but you know what? You do what you got to do in your own garden and make your own choices that are right for you. For me, using a pre-emergent works for me. I live a busy life. I own 3 businesses, and you know, I have a life outside of all of this too. So pre-emergent stops new weed seed from germinating. It doesn't stop all weed seed from germinating, but it stops a lot of them. This is like a preen. Now, I like this product better than preen because the list of weeds and the seed that it stops from germinating is longer than the list from preen. Not that there's anything wrong with preen, but typically you have to put it down 2 or 3 times during the growing season, and it'll stop the weed seed from germinating. Now, there's pros and cons to all of this. 1, you got to water it in. 2, it can be expensive. 3, if you're going to plant seeds like zinnia seeds or anything like that in your garden, guess what? Can't put this product down. The other thing that I do to help me combat my weeds, and I usually am very diligent about this year not so much, but I'm back on track, is I zone my garden. So on Monday I work on this garden, Tuesday I work on that, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so I go around my property and I work on what I need to do in each of those beds. Some weeks it might be planting something. Some weeks it might just be going through. Do I need to cut something back? Do I need to pull a few weeds that I see? Because that's the trick. Oh my gosh, the trick is to get them when they're little. When they get like this, then it's like this nightmare job, which is what I had over here in the cottage garden. It kind of sucked to have to clean that all up, but we did it. We got caught up. Oh, that was a sigh of relief. And sometimes, every once in a while, I will use a product like a Roundup or something, because I have a weed that's so stubborn, I have to spray it. I try not to use chemicals like that, but the reality is sometimes I have to use that. My very favorite way, though, is absolutely the cardboard method, where I put the really heavy layer of cardboard down, throw that compost on top, put mulch on top, and let it sit. Let it sit for a year. So you'll see me do that this year for gardens next year, because it beats cutting outside and it really does work. Our last question is about the silver sage that I've been planting all over my garden. Now, I actually saw this for the first time when I went to visit Erin's garden from the Impatient Gardener last year towards the end of summer, and she graciously allowed us to go tour her garden. And I saw this in her garden and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. It is so tactile. I fell in love with it, and she told me where she bought the seeds, and I bought some, grew some from seed, and I've planted it kind of like all over my garden. Probably overplanted it, but I don't care. I love it. It's so wonderful. Now, the question that I get about this is, what is my seed source? And the seed source is, I bought the seeds from Select Seeds. Now, this silver sage is called Salvia argentea. It's a biannual to a short-lived perennial, and I'll show you some in just a second of what I've got growing in the passageway garden that I put in. It's doing pretty good. It's supposed to grow in zone 5 through 8. Now, I don't know if this will come back next year or not. Erin says she has mixed results with it, depending on the kind of winter that we have. So we'll just have to wait and see. And it was so easy to start. I think I will start some next year, whether I think this is coming back or not, just to make sure I have it. It's so tactile, and you just want to reach out and touch it, and it made me want to have it in the garden. Plus, if you're looking for like really cool contrasting leaves to put with other things, this is awesome. It's going to grow 2 feet high and about 18 inches wide, and it does want full sun, and it wants good draining soil. So let me show you how the ones are faring right here in our passageway garden. I do have one planted right here next to a mangave and a blue chip juniper. We got some little garden thyme there next to it. But see, it's coming along just wonderfully. And don't you just want to reach out and touch that? Too bad. You can't touch mine, but you can certainly plant some of your own. That's all I've got for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed the little snippets that you got to see around the garden. There really are a lot of areas in my garden that look primo right now. If you're new here and you like our videos, please subscribe. It helps support the channel so that we can continue to make great content. Also, if you want the newsletter and you missed that little blurb that I put up, I do have a link down below. And don't forget to send your pictures in for Garden Gab. My email's always in the description. And if you don't send the pictures in, I can't share them. So send them in, you guys. Turn your cameras. Don't forget, landscape format. And garden tour people, I need you. Reach out. Let's do a garden tour. Come on. All right, you guys, I'm Michelle. Have a great day. Get your hands in the dirt, and we'll see you later. Bye, everyone.